There will always be storms outside of you. People's words, unexpected changes, and the weight of daily challenges. But the true power lies in staying calm when the world is loud, steady when everything is uncertain, and strong when life tries to shake you. These 6 key principles will guide you to build a mindset so resilient that nothing can truly affect your inner peace. The dialogue you have with yourself is the most powerful conversation you will ever experience because it shapes the way you see the world, the way you treat yourself, and the way you allow others to treat you. Every word you whisper in your mind carries an energy, a vibration, a message to your subconscious mind. This is the place where beliefs are formed and repeated until they become the silent architects of your life. When you constantly speak to yourself with doubt, criticism, or fear, you build an inner world that reflects those feelings, and eventually that inner world begins to show up in your outer circumstances. On the other hand, when you choose words of kindness, encouragement, and faith, you create a safe inner space that nourishes your growth and supports your dreams. Mastering your inner dialogue does not mean you will never have negative thoughts. It means you will learn to observe them, question them, and gently redirect them before they take root. The first step is awareness. Most people live their days without noticing the stream of thoughts flowing through their mind. And yet, those thoughts quietly shape how they feel about themselves, how they react to situations, and what kind of opportunities they allow in their lives. Take time throughout the day to pause and listen to the words that are circling in your mind. Are they uplifting or are they tearing you down? Do they make you feel capable, or do they make you doubt your own worth? This awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. You begin to see what has been hidden all along. Once you have awareness, you gain the power to choose. You can choose to no longer feed the voice that says you are not enough, that you cannot handle challenges, or that you are bound to fail. You can choose to introduce a new voice, one that speaks with patience, one that encourages you even when life feels uncertain. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," you learn to say, "I am learning how to handle this." Instead of saying, "I always mess things up," you can gently tell yourself, "I am getting better each day." These may seem like small changes, but they create a ripple effect in your energy. Your subconscious mind does not argue with repetition. It accepts what it hears most often. Another important part of mastering your inner dialogue is compassion. So many people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to someone they love. They scold themselves for mistakes, punish themselves for being human, and expect perfection from a heart that is still learning. True power comes from kindness toward yourself. When you fall, speak softly to yourself. This is a moment to learn. I forgive myself. I choose to rise again. When you succeed, celebrate your effort, not just the outcome. I am proud of the steps I took. I am proud of my courage. This way, your inner world becomes a place of safety. And when your inner world feels safe, the storms of the outer world cannot harm you as deeply. Repetition is the secret key to change. If you have spent years or decades feeding your mind negative stories, 1 or 2 kind thoughts will not erase them, but daily, deliberate practice can. Begin and end your day with words that strengthen you. Speak them out loud when you can. Write them down when your mind feels heavy. Say things like, "I am worthy of peace. I am capable of handling life with grace. I release old patterns that no longer serve me." Over time, these words will no longer feel like distant dreams. They will become natural, like breathing. Mastering your inner dialogue also means protecting it from outside noise. The conversations you have with others, the content you consume, and the environments you spend time in all influence your self-talk. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, not those who constantly sow doubt or drama. Choose books, videos, and messages that inspire strength rather than fear. Even 5 minutes of quiet reflection in the morning, before the world begins to speak, can reset the tone of your entire day. There will still be moments when your mind wanders back to fear or self-criticism. That is part of being human. The goal is not perfection but progress. Each time you catch yourself slipping into an old pattern, gently guide yourself back. Say, I used to think this way, but now I choose a better thought. Over time, these small choices build resilience. They create a foundation of inner strength so that when challenges arise, you no longer collapse under them, you meet them with a calm mind and a steady heart. Mastering your inner dialogue is the art of becoming your own ally rather than your own enemy. It is about standing beside yourself in every season, through every challenge, whispering words of hope when the world feels cold, and speaking strength into your spirit until it becomes second nature. When you learn to speak to yourself with respect and intention, you no longer wait for the word to affirm your worth. You carry that worth within you. And when you carry it within, nothing outside of you can truly take it away. There is a remarkable power in the ability to pause before reacting. In that brief moment between what happens and how you respond lies your freedom, your wisdom, and your strength. Life is full of unexpected events. People may say things that hurt you, situations may unfold that frustrate you, and challenges may appear without warning. The natural human impulse is to react instantly, to match energy with energy, to defend, to explain, or to fight back. Yet when you react in haste, you often feed the very chaos that disturbed you. The pause is not weakness. It is the space where you regain control over your emotions and choose your next step from a place of calm, not chaos. Learning to pause does not mean suppressing your feelings. It does not mean ignoring your truth or allowing others to walk over you. The pause is an act of awareness. It is a conscious breath you take to remind yourself that you do not have to become a mirror of the negativity presented to you. For example, someone might criticize you unfairly, and your first instinct may be to snap back or defend yourself. But in that split second where you breathe and hold your response, you give yourself the gift of perspective. You can ask yourself, does this comment truly define me? Is this battle worth my energy? Do I want to let this shape my mood for the rest of the day? Most often, the answer is no. The pause allows your mind to catch up with your heart. It gives space for reason to speak before emotion takes full control. How many times have you said something in anger that you later regretted? How many times have you made a quick decision in fear or frustration only to wish you had waited just a little longer? When you master the pause, you break the cycle of regret. You begin to respond in ways that align with your values rather than your impulses. Practicing this skill begins with presence. In a world that moves so fast, where messages and demands fly at you constantly, presence becomes your anchor. It is as simple as taking a deep breath before you speak, as simple as counting to 3 before you reply, as simple as allowing the heat of the moment to cool for a few seconds. This does not take your power away. It strengthens it. When you pause, you are saying to yourself, I choose not to be a puppet pulled by someone else's strings. I choose to be the one who decides how this moment will unfold. There will be times when silence is the greatest reply. There will also be times when a thoughtful answer spoken after reflection carries far more weight than a quick retort ever could. People often misinterpret silence as weakness, but it is, in truth, a form of self-respect. It shows that you will not trade your inner peace for the temporary satisfaction of proving a point. Over time, this creates a powerful shift in your relationships. Others begin to notice that you cannot be easily provoked. They sense your calm and they respect it, even if they do not fully understand it. The pause also helps you separate what belongs to you from what belongs to others. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every challenge is a hill to climb. When you pause, you create a filter that allows only what is necessary and meaningful to pass through. This protects your emotional health. It preserves your focus for the things that truly matter. In the pause, you also meet yourself. You hear the whispers of your own intuition that are often drowned out by noise. Many answers come not in the rush, but in the stillness that follows a deep breath. You may discover that what felt like an attack was simply a misunderstanding. You may realize that what angered you was more about your old wounds than the present moment. This kind of awareness cannot bloom in the storm of instant reaction. It blossoms in the quiet space you create before responding. Developing this habit requires practice. At first, it may feel unnatural. You might catch yourself reacting quickly and then wish you had paused. That is okay. Each moment of awareness is progress. Each time you manage to hold your words, to wait a few seconds, or to simply breathe before acting, you are rewiring your mind towards strength. Over time, it becomes your natural rhythm. You find that fewer things upset you deeply. The world may still be loud, but you have built a space inside you that remains still. The pause is a form of self-love. It tells your mind and your heart that they deserve peace. It tells your spirit that it does not have to be a prisoner of every event or every person's energy. It is a way of saying, I respect my inner calm more than I respect the need to be right, to win, or to be loud. And in that simple choice, you discover a strength that is quiet yet unshakable. When you begin to practice the pause, you no longer give the world the power to pull you in every direction. You stand taller, you breathe easier, and you live more intentionally. You learn that not every moment requires a reaction, but every moment offers a choice. And in choosing stillness first, you open the door to wisdom, peace, and clarity that no quick reaction could ever give you. Boundaries are one of the purest expressions of self-respect. They are not built to push people away, but to create a safe and sacred space where your peace, energy, and well-being can thrive. Without boundaries, you become available to everything, every drama, every draining situation. And when you allow everything in, you often find yourself exhausted, resentful, or lost in the expectations of others. Setting and protecting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-preservation. It is saying, I value my time, my heart, and my mind enough to protect them. Boundaries begin with clarity. You cannot enforce what you do not first recognize. Spend time understanding what truly matters to you, your time, your emotional health, your personal values, your energy levels, and your priorities. What drains you? What gives you life? What behaviors feel supportive, and what behaviors leave you feeling used or diminished? This self-inquiry is the foundation of every healthy boundary. It is like building a fence around a garden. You first decide what you are growing, what you want to protect, and what you will no longer allow to trample over your growth. Once you know your limits, the next step is to express them clearly and kindly. Many people struggle here because they fear disappointing others or being seen as difficult. But a boundary does not have to be aggressive to be firm. It can sound like, I'm not available to talk right now, let's connect later. Or, I value our time together, but I need to leave by 9. Or even, I appreciate your concern, but this is a decision I need to make for myself. These words are not walls. They are doors that you open and close with intention. Protecting your boundaries means being consistent. It is not enough to state your needs once and hope everyone remembers them. People often test limits, whether knowingly or not, and each time they do, you have an opportunity to either reinforce your boundary or silently erase it. If you say you cannot work late every night, but then always agree when asked, your actions are teaching others that your words do not matter. Protecting your boundaries requires courage. It requires being okay with not always being liked, with sometimes disappointing others, and with standing firm even when it feels uncomfortable. But in doing so, you teach others how to respect you, and more importantly, you teach yourself how to honor your own worth. Boundaries are also about what you allow internally. It is not only about saying no to others, it is about saying no to your own habits that cross your inner lines. Do you allow your thoughts to replay old wounds endlessly? Do you constantly sacrifice rest for the approval of others? Do you fill your time with distractions that leave you empty? Protecting boundaries means gently calling yourself back when you step over the line of your own well-being. It is about noticing when you are saying yes out of fear rather than love, when you are staying silent when your heart longs to speak, or when you are giving to others while abandoning yourself. Healthy boundaries are not rigid. They are flexible enough to allow connection, yet firm enough to prevent harm. You can open them wide for those who show respect, and you can close them to those who repeatedly take without giving. Over time, boundaries become less about defense and more about alignment. They filter out what does not serve your growth and invite in what nourishes your life. You begin to notice how your relationships changes. Some people rise to meet your new level of respect, and others quietly fall away. This is natural. When you raise the standard for how you allow others to treat you, you also raise the quality of energy you experience daily. There will be guilt in the beginning, guilt for saying no, guilt for choosing rest over obligation, guilt for not explaining every decision. This is normal because for so long you may have been trained to please, to comply, to carry more than was yours to carry. But with practice, that guilt turns into relief, and that relief turns into freedom. You start to breathe deeper. You have more energy for the things that truly matter. Your days feel lighter because they are no longer filled with resentments born from silent sacrifices. Protecting your boundaries is an ongoing practice, not a one-time event. Life will change, people will come and go, and your needs will evolve. Check in with yourself regularly. Ask, what am I allowing that drains me? Where am I not being honest about my limits? What would I do differently if I truly honored my own peace? The answers to these questions become your guide. In the end, boundaries are an act of love. Love for yourself and love for the relationships that matter. When you set them with clarity and protect them with grace, you create a life where respect flows both ways. You no longer feel like a victim of other people's demands. You become the conscious keeper of your own energy. And in that state, nothing feels forced. Everything becomes a choice that honors who you are, what you value, and the life you are meant to live. There is a deep sense of freedom that comes when you finally release what was never yours to carry. Life is filled with moving pieces. People make choices that hurt. Situations unfold that you did not expect, and events happen that you cannot rewrite no matter how much you try. Yet, so many hearts stay heavy because they hold on to what they cannot change, trying to rearrange the past or control the future with worry and fear. Letting go of what you cannot control does not mean giving up. It means choosing peace over struggle, clarity over chaos, and trust over constant tension. It is an act of strength to say, I will not exhaust my spirit over what is beyond my reach. The first step in letting go is acceptance. Acceptance does not mean that you approve of what happened, nor does it mean you pretend it didn't hurt. It means you stop fighting reality. You stop replaying every detail in your mind as if doing so could rewrite the outcome. You stop carrying the illusion that you can make someone change by worrying about them, by begging, or by trying to manage their path. People have their own lessons to learn, their own journeys to walk, and their own timing to awaken. When you accept that, you begin to free yourself from the invisible chains of control. Holding on often comes from fear. Fear of losing someone, fear of failure, fear that if you stop trying to control, everything will fall apart. But life has a way of moving even when you loosen your grip. In fact, it often moves more smoothly when you step back and allow its natural rhythm to flow. Think of a river. When you try to force its direction, you only create resistance and turbulence. But when you allow it to flow, it finds its way to the ocean on its own. Your life, too, has a current that knows where it is meant to go. Trusting that current is a form of courage. One of the greatest drains on your energy is trying to change other people. You cannot control how they think, how they feel, or how they choose to show up. You can only control your own actions, your own boundaries, and your own growth. When you release the need to fix others, you reclaim your energy to heal yourself. You stop chasing their approval and start building your own inner stability. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you care in a healthier way, one that does not deplete you. Letting go also means releasing the need for every answer right now. Life often unfolds in ways you cannot predict. There are lessons hidden in waiting, in uncertainty, in endings that lead to beginnings you could not yet imagine. Worrying about the outcome does not change the outcome. It only robs you of the present moment. The present is where your true power lies. Your power to think clearly, to make decisions based on truth rather than fear, and to nurture the parts of your life that are within your reach. It is natural to revisit the past and wonder what could have been different. But the past is a closed book. You cannot rewrite it by reliving it. You can, however, choose what story you carry forward from it. Will it be a story of blame, regret, and resentment? Or will it be a story of growth, wisdom, and resilience? When you let go of what you cannot control, you also let go of the need to hold grudges. Forgiveness becomes less about the other person and more about setting yourself free. Letting go is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. There will be moments when old fears resurface, when your mind tries to grip the uncontrollable again. In those moments, pause and remind yourself, is this in my hands? Can I truly shape this, or am I trying to carry what belongs to life? That simple question creates space for clarity. With time, you begin to recognize the difference between what deserves your effort and what deserves your surrender. Surrender is not weakness. It is the wisdom to conserve your energy for what you can actually influence, your habits, your responses, your growth, your dreams. Imagine how much more peaceful your life becomes when you no longer argue with what you cannot change. You stop trying to rearrange other people's behavior. You stop delaying your joy until everything is perfect. You begin to live. There is a beautiful strength in walking through life with open hands instead of clenched fists. Open hands can receive. They can release. They can embrace what is here and let go of what must leave. When you let go of control, you create room for something better to come in. Sometimes what you truly desire, sometimes something even greater that you could not yet imagine. Ultimately, letting go of what you cannot control is an act of trust. Trust in your own ability to adapt. Trust in the timing of your life. Trust that what is meant for you will not miss you, and what is not meant for you will fall away no matter how tightly you hold it. Each day you release what is not yours to carry. You lighten your load. You sharpen your focus. and you make space for peace to take root where chaos once lived. Change is one of the few constants in life, yet it is the very thing many people resist the most. The mind craves familiarity because it feels safe. Even when that familiarity no longer serves growth, there is comfort in what is known, even if it keeps you small, even if it keeps you in a space that no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Embracing change is not about liking every shift that happens. It is about understanding that every change carries the seed of transformation. It is an invitation to grow, to evolve, to become more of who you are meant to be. When change comes, it often feels disruptive. A relationship ends, a job shifts, a plan falls apart, or an unexpected opportunity arises that takes you in a new direction. The first response is often resistance. Why did this happen? Why now? Why this way? The mind wants to go back to what felt stable, to cling to the pieces of the old life that seemed predictable. But resisting change does not stop it. It only creates suffering in the gap between what was and what is becoming. Growth begins the moment you stop fighting the tide and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? How can I allow this moment to shape me instead of break me? Every season of life has its purpose. Just as the trees release their leaves to make way for new blossoms, you too must sometimes let go of what once felt essential so that something new can emerge. A change that feels like a loss may actually be a clearing. A shift that feels like chaos may be rearranging your life into a better alignment. The challenge is that you cannot always see the full picture while you are in the middle of it. Growth rarely announces itself as growth in the beginning. It often comes disguised as discomfort, uncertainty, or endings that make no sense at first. To embrace change as growth, you must trust your own ability to adapt. You have already survived moments you once thought you could not handle. You have already learned lessons that only came because something shifted in your life. Think of times when change pushed you out of your comfort zone. Perhaps it forced you to develop a new skill, to meet new people, to discover a part of yourself that had been sleeping. Growth happens in those uncomfortable spaces, not in the easy, predictable ones. It is natural to feel fear when things change. Fear is the mind's way of trying to protect you from the unknown. But fear is also a storyteller. It creates images of what might go wrong while rarely considering what might go beautifully right. When you embrace change, you acknowledge the fear, but do not let it dictate your choices. You breathe through it, you take one step at a time, and you allow life to show you what is waiting on the other side of that shift. Another important part of embracing change is releasing the need to have everything figured out at once. Growth is often gradual. You do not need to know the entire path before you take the first step. You only need to be willing to move forward with openness. Many doors reveal themselves only after you start walking. If you wait until everything feels certain, you may miss opportunities that were meant to lead you toward your next chapter. Change also asks you to examine your attachments. What are you holding on to simply because it feels familiar? Are you staying in situations that drain you because they are known, rather than stepping toward the unknown where real fulfillment lies? Growth is rarely found in clinging. It is found in releasing what no longer aligns with your heart. Sometimes this means leaving behind old habits, outdated beliefs, or environments that keep you from rising. Other times it means allowing relationships to shift without forcing them to stay the same. Embracing change does not mean you stop caring about stability. It means you create stability from within rather than expecting the outside world to remain unchanged. When your sense of peace depends on everything staying as it is, even the smallest shift will shake you. But when your peace comes from knowing that you can handle life as it comes, change becomes less threatening. It becomes part of the natural flow of your journey. With each change comes a choice. You can resist and remain the same, or you can open your heart and grow. Growth may stretch you, but it also strengthens you. It may take you through seasons of uncertainty, but those seasons often lead to greater clarity, deeper wisdom, and a version of yourself you could not have imagined before. Look at the great transformations in nature. The butterfly must leave the cocoon. The seed must break to become a tree. The ocean tide must pull away before it returns with new waves. Your life follows similar rhythms. When you embrace change as growth, you stop seeing it as something happening to you and start seeing it as something happening for you. Even the changes you did not choose can become teachers. They reveal your resilience, they awaken your courage, they redirect you toward paths that hold more meaning. With time, you may even learn to welcome change, to see it as a sign that you are alive, that you are evolving, that you are not meant to stay the same forever. Living intentionally rather than reactively is a conscious choice that transforms the way you experience life. It means stepping out of the cycle of merely responding to circumstances, people, or emotions, and instead choosing to create your life with clarity, purpose, and presence. So many of us move through our days on autopilot, letting external events dictate how we feel, what we do, and who we become. We wake up and instantly check our phones, respond to messages, scroll through social media, and react to whatever news or comments we see. We let the outside world set the tone for our mood and energy. But living this way leaves us feeling drained, directionless, and easily swayed by the tides of others' expectations and demands. Living intentionally is the opposite. It is about becoming the conscious creator of your inner world first, so your outer world aligns with your vision. When you live intentionally, you begin your day with awareness instead of reaction. You set intentions for how you want to feel, what you want to create, and what energy you wish to carry into every interaction. This does not mean you control every detail of life. That is neither possible nor necessary. But it means you decide how you will show up, regardless of what happens. For example, instead of reacting to someone's criticism with anger or defensiveness, you pause, breathe, and choose to respond with calmness or even silence if that serves your peace. You start to ask yourself, does this align with who I want to be? Does this thought or action bring me closer to my goals or pull me away from them? This level of self-inquiry shifts you from a state of being tossed around by life to one where you navigate with purpose. Living intentionally also requires you to become deeply aware of your values and priorities. What truly matters to you? Is it peace, growth, love, abundance, or authenticity? When you know your values, decisions become easier because you filter every choice through them. A reactive life says yes to everything, often out of guilt, fear, or the desire to please others. An intentional life says yes when it's in alignment and no when it's not, without shame or explanation. You learn to protect your time, your energy, and your mental space like treasures, because they are. Each moment is an opportunity to invest in your future or to scatter your focus in directions that serve no real purpose. Another key aspect of living intentionally is creating habits that support the version of yourself you wish to become. This might mean starting your mornings with reflection, meditation, or journaling rather than diving into chaos. It might mean setting boundaries with technology, reducing distractions, or surrounding yourself with people who uplift rather than drain you. Living reactively often feels like running on a treadmill. Lots of motion but little progress. Intentional living is about moving with direction. Even if the steps are small, each small, mindful step compounds over time into meaningful change. You may also notice that intentional living shifts your relationship with time. When you live reactively, you often feel rushed, behind, or like you are chasing something undefined. But when you live with intention, you slow down enough to savor life as it unfolds. You stop trying to multitask everything and start giving your full presence to whatever is in front of you: a meal, a conversation, a creative project, even rest. This presence becomes a powerful magnet for opportunities and meaningful connections because your energy is no longer scattered, it is focused and alive. Living intentionally does not mean you will never face challenges or that unexpected events won't arise. Life will still bring surprises, some pleasant and others difficult. But the difference is in how you meet them. When you have trained yourself to pause, to choose rather than react, to align rather than scatter, you find a steadiness within you that external chaos cannot easily shake. You become like the calm center of a storm, anchored in your purpose while the winds of life move around you. The shift from reactive to intentional living is not a one-time decision, it is a daily practice. It is built moment by moment, choice by choice. Start by observing where in your life you feel most reactive, perhaps with certain people, environments, or habits. Then, instead of judging yourself, simply bring awareness. Awareness is the seed of transformation. From there, ask, what would it look like to approach this differently? What is my intention here? Over time, this practice rewires your mind, softens your reactivity, and strengthens your ability to lead your life rather than be led by it. The reward of this way of living is profound. You feel more peaceful, more fulfilled, and more in control of what truly matters, your inner state. You stop being a puppet to the emotions and energies of others and instead become the author of your own story. And in doing so, you create space for growth, joy, and true connection because your energy is no longer wasted on meaningless reactions. Living intentionally is the most loving gift you can give yourself. And from that place, everything in your life begins to shift to reflect that inner alignment.